Oh, so many things to keep track of, so many things to do. So many things. So many things, so many things. The bots are playing small towers. Oops. That name wrong. This is a very long name. Oh, and there's a underscore after it. Of course it's not so simple. Famously bad with names. Oh. Oh, there's two T's. Wow, this is a lot of text to type. It still didn't work? Oh, because there's an extra thing. Okay, I'm sorry. Apologies. It still didn't work. It still didn't work. It still doesn't work. I am still fumbling with this. There we go. Goodness gracious. Wow. I am such a noob. I am such a noob. But these are people. And if you happen to be checking out the shout-outs that I'm throwing down, it's because these are cool people, and they deserve your attention and support. And enough said. Our work in a jungle is to stay alive, because you never know. Good thing we got coffee. Coffee's important. But in a jungle, this cartoon ape likes to make games as well as play games. See these little troops down below battling each other? They're so small and they build towers. Well, there's this game called Small Towers. It's for chat. You use chat commands. In fact, some of these nice people that I just shouted out to have been playing a game that also uses chat commands. It's so fun to get chat involved. That game called Cult of the Lamb inspired me to make Small Towers. That plus some other streamers' good stuff they have going on their stream. There's a streamer, Colin Leafshade, actually. Let's just do a shout-out parade, shall we? Steve, Colin, has cats at the bottom of the screen. He takes up about the same amount of space, and I said, oh, that's smart. It won't interfere with most games. That's really smart. Even my avatar gets in the way sometimes, but if I only take up 10% of the screen at the bottom, that'll be good. Hey, I don't mind nerding out and talking about game stuff, because that's exactly what we do here. Did you know? We make games. I promise. Games like... Whoops. I just deleted what I was doing. Funny how the hotkeys you choose tend to be used. Yeah. Right. Okay. When last we left us in Design Workshop, we said Design Chat had a really interesting idea, and we're going to do something cool with our menu, because we could just make our menu look exactly like our first level and teach the player how to play. Part of Design Chat was talking about the design process, including brainstorming, and we just found our way to something better, improvement. That's exactly what design is all about. So, awesome. Thank you, Design Chat. Now, Design Workshop made that menu, and we have that. There was a little thing, though, that wasn't quite right. When you win, the little critter never goes back to look at you and show a happy smiley face when they win. or a sad face when they lose, and we had that. And so Design Chat took it upon themselves to actually scope out all the rules, thank you Design Chat, and then we stepped into code. No joke. In Design Chat. There was an unfortunate technical issue on my part. I accidentally set the stream channel category to a game with mature content. And so unfortunately, I can't undo that, even though I changed the category to just chatting for Design Chat. That Design Chat episode seems to be marked as mature content, which means that some of our viewers may not actually see it. Whoops. Sorry. My bad. I'll be more vigilant about one of the 24 things I need to set up for each stream. Let's review what we did in Design Chat, because we did scope out the rules, and then we came in here and said, oh yeah, let's fix that. Here's what works now. This is what works now, thanks to what we did in Design Chat, because here's our character, he blinks, he's cute. And this menu is now active. Like, you read this and go, oh wait, WASD, and it's active. And you're given as much time as you want, because as we did in Design Workshop, we set this to be the win square, this to be the player. This is actually the game. It's just that the win square is not, the speed of its scaling down is like 0. So you have as much time as you want to get here and do this. Now that happy face is the change, because before it would just look like I was moving to the right. So here I am moving, and it would just look like that. So now when you win, it changes, it looks at you. And if you happen to lose, well, let's lose. If you happen to lose, it looks like that. The blinks still happen and the whole thing. And that was because Design Chat took it upon themselves to go from, well, the rules. We said if the player wins, we want the happy face with the happy blink. This blink mechanism is exactly the same. And if the player loses, then we want the sad face with the sad blink. So really, we just need to go from the normal frames that we have for movement and go to these and stay there. That's it. So that should be simple, right? Well, we found out after a little testing that the animation script needs the frames, and so we put them in. And then the animation script needs to know not to do the normal thing, not to do the detect how you are moving, including not moving, and set that frame. Just don't do any of that, because we're in post-game. So we know we're in post-game, we added a variable, and then we bypass all that stuff once we get a signal from Game Manager, which we do with a function. We did so much in Design Chat. But we set the current frame to either be happy or sad, and boom. Here's what that looks like. Design Chat went into the animation script. This is on the character. And we said, cool, we actually already have a reference to the move character script, and that's what it's doing all the time, to look at these 3 numbers to determine what frame of animation to play. So first thing is we added these frames, these extra frames. And we'll talk about that in a second. There's something that's going to be helpful going forward. And so we just said, this is still running, actually. Even though we disable the movement by doing this animate script is still looking here and detecting that the last move direction was, to the right or whatever. And so that's why we're still moving. We were still moving at the end. So first things first, we said, let's have this game manager set the move direction to 0 first and see if we can get the character to just face us. So we're bold. Excuse me. We were bold and we went into the game manager script, and right here we said, well, let's make sure the move direction is 0, 0, 0. This is a shortcut for 0, 0, 0. And so our move direction first is set to be 0, and then we disable it altogether so it won't change. This means that this animation script will now see it as facing you, idle, and that'll be good. Then later in this process, because we know whether we won or lost thanks to the win square calling this function, the win square calls this function and says, hey, the player won or the player lost. And so we do these things for post-game. So now we're saying, well, let's turn around and tell the animate script. This was a cheeky way of getting towards the animate script. Let's talk to them with a new function that we made and tell them, hey, we're in postgame and the player won or the player lost. This will be true or false. To do that, Design Chat even had to make its own function. Check this out. So this looks exactly like the kind of function we just saw in Game Manager. This is like the win square talking to the Game Manager. Well, here's the Game Manager talking to the animate script through this function. It's called once at postgame, and so we say, yep, postgame is on, and either the player has won or lost. Based on this input, we can say, well, then the frame should be happy face or sad face. After that, it's this little tiny Boolean variable that does all the work, because that's all we need to say, oh wait, we're in post-game. Don't do your normal movement stuff. Don't do this, and it's a lot. This normal movement stuff all happens because, we're moving to, we're not moving, or moving up or down or to the left or right. And then if we're blinking or not, we add one, right? If we are blinking, we add one. Because there's the routine of blinking, if you recall, is just going back and forth between blink and not blink. But this is where we actually set the frames, and we do this every single update call. In other words, every frame. We set which animation frame to show for our character. And we said, you know what? Don't do this at all if we're in postgame. In other words, do this, but only if postgame is false. By just putting this with the little curly at the end, we just put all that together in a scope. It ends here, it starts there. We put everything that we do to set those frames in a scope that will only run if postgame is false. As soon as postgame is true, we skip all of that. We skip all of this and don't do any of this. In other words, current frame is never changed except to blink. Blinking still happens. Current frame is never changed, and so our switch to sad face or happy face stays there. Easy, right? And not only that, but because the end of the level is there, we're going to switch scenes. We're going to go to the next level, or we're going to go back to the main menu. And so this is pretty much all we need to do. Design Chat did some work. Isn't that nice? But I mentioned during Design Chat, I said, okay, so here's our character, and he needs those frames. He needs these frames in the animate script. In order to do happy or sad, these need to be here in the list of frames so that current frame can actually just point there. That's what makes that work really well. But it was relatively simple to just add some frames. You just say plus 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 and then drag them in. Literally this. Oop, no problem. But then we went to level 1 because, of course, we're in the menu now, and we go to level 1 when you, quote, win the menu. And here it didn't work because these weren't here. It was like this. Oops, sorry. It was like this. This is what we had before, right? And when we try to win, in this case, there is missing frames. There are frames that we tell it to go to, like 8 when you win, and they aren't there. So we don't show that, and there's an error. The error says index out of range exception. Exception means there's a problem. This is a problem. What kind of problem? What kind of exception? It is an index out of range exception. Meaning the problem really is that there's an index to an array that is beyond all the elements. It's like if it goes from 0 to 7 and we're asking for 8, hey, that's out of range. That's what index out of range exception means. Index was outside the bounds of the array. It tells you very clearly there. But if you see this stop sign, you might be like, ah! Don't freak out. Just read it. This is trying to help you. In fact, if you double click on this, you notice that you go straight to the line that has the problem. This line of code had the problem, and the only way that we're accessing an index or one of the elements in an array is right here. That means that this number was out of range. If this has 0 through 7 and this says 8, that would be out of range. So I say, yeah, set the main texture to something, and it's not there. That's where the error was. So by reading that error, we went, oh, okay, how do we do this, and what do we do? We said, oh, it's not even there. In other words, in level 1, we're looking at this player character, and we're like, oh, that's right. Our menu player character has all the frames, but here they don't. Well, why is that? I mean, what's going on? If you recall, we made menu, we made level 1, we made level 2. We made these from a prototype scene, in fact, where we were testing all this stuff. Looks like this. And so actually it looks very much the same because it is literally the same level as level 1. But it includes the fact that this, character was configured this way and the win square was configured that way and blah, blah, blah. Now, if we save as a new scene like menu, or we save as a new scene like level 1, and then we change these properties, well, that will stay for sure. But think about it. We've made 3 levels that are basically a copy of the, this temporary one, this prototype scene. And in there are 3 copies of this character as one example. Although we have the same character in each level, including the menu now, there's many copies of it. And each copy would have to be individually configured if we change it. We did change it. We went into menu and we said, oh, that's right, we want extra frames in this thing. Okay, what I'm pointing at very clearly is a problem, because let's say we forgot to change the frames in level 1. Let's say we forgot to change the frames in level 2 for this character, among many other configurations for this character, or for the win square, or for the game manager, or for the, there's a lot of cases where you have the same thing, like a player character, in many different levels. Level 1, level 2, and we kind of want it to be the same. In fact, we need it to be the same. In order for our software to work well, we need to rely on it being the same, and wow, that happens often. Here's another analogy. Let's say you're making a dungeon crawling game, and you've made your dungeon, and you're going to have your adventurers go through, you're thinking about monsters and treasure and traps and things. Yeah, fun, cool. But just as a basic part of the level, you want torches on the wall, and you make a torch, and you hit copy, like here's this torch you made, made this torch. I'll just call it a torch. It's not really a torch, but let's just call it a torch. and you made this torch in your level, and it's there, and you placed it here, and then you copy and paste, and then you move it over here, and these two torches are here now, and then you copy and paste, you make another one, and then you say, wait, I want the torch to be yellow, not orange. Let me change the color. You now are required to go in and change these other ones as well. Like, you just made a lot of work for yourself because you want to make a change. But in order to have the change affect all of the copies of this torch, you are going to need to deal with that. And that problem is super common, just like the problem of, I have this character, I want it to be configured the same way in every scene. It's the same problem, actually. And there's a very common solution for it. In Unreal, this is handled for you because everything you make is in the project is made here first and then brought into the scene. In Unity, you are often building things here, which is fine, actually, it's cool. But then you run into this problem, and explicitly, you can solve it by making what is called a prefab. In Unity, a prefab is an original of something important, of which you make copies, like this player character. This copy is in this menu, and another copy is in level 1, and another copy is in level 2, but they need to be the same as the original. The original can sit in your project, copies live in your scene in the hierarchy. This means you should be able to take an original like this one right here and make a prefab. Let's do that, because what we can do is now replace our player character in level 1 with a copy of the prefab instead of this basically custom thing. This can be completely different and therefore wrong. It can be wrong. It can be misconfigured. And we want to avoid that. We're going to replace this with a copy of something that is the same. That solves so many problems. And it's hard to describe the problem, let alone the solution, the prefab, until we get to this point. So I'm glad we're here. I'm going to go to a project and I'm going to make a brand new folder. We have a folder for art, we have one for scenes, and we've been using one for scripts and making subfolders in there. I'm going to make another folder here in the whole top level project under assets, and it's going to be called prefabs. This is a standard organization because not everything needs to be a prefab, but once you see the utility of it, you might realize anytime you see yourself making copies of something, think about whether or not making a prefab makes some sense. So I made my folder, it's called prefabs, and I'll go into the menu because I'm confident that this one, in particular, this player character, is configured exactly the way we want. I'm going to simply click and drag it from the scene into that folder and drop it. This is all that needs to happen to tell Unity, make this a prefab in the project, and then replace this player character with a copy of that prefab. This is what it looks like when I drop it. There is now something called the same name player character. But now this is blue. What's that mean? This means that it is not an original. It is a copy of this prefab. The prefab has everything that we already expect on it. In fact, even the position is the same as what it is in the scene. Maybe we don't actually want that, because as something that could be in any scene, in any position, we might just zero that out. Otherwise, everything is perfect. Love this configuration. It's great. So what happens? I changed the original, this prefab's position, 0, 0, 0. Does that change this one? No, and this is the interesting thing about copies of prefabs. They're called instances. A copy of a prefab, or an instance, can be configured any way you want on top of the original configuration. In other words, it starts out as a copy and has everything in there. But then, like the position, it can be different. When you do make changes, they're usually bolded, and you may set your changes here in the scene to be updates to the original. You can do that. You can say override, and it can be saved up to the original. But usually, and you can do that. I mean, you can also modify it here in the project. This is also, by the way, I can double click on this prefab and the hierarchy will change. It'll show me the hierarchy of this object, which is just one object. But notice how even the scene view, I'll get my avatar out of the way. Notice even the scene view changes now to show you a blank space with just this one prefab object and just its configuration. You might have a very complex prefab. It's totally fine. This could be a hierarchy of things. This arrow here lets me go back out of this prefab mode, but otherwise this is just a scene view, like any other scene view. It's just that we aren't actually in a level here. We are looking at this prefab. So I'll go back out with this arrow. Boop. So I'm in the menu, and this has been replaced as a copy of this original prefab. Otherwise, it works the same. I mean, it is exactly the same. Nothing has changed. In fact, that's exactly what we want. This character does what characters do. They blink, they move, they win. It's all good. It's actually all good. And so it is sort of a silent change, really. No difference, right? But the way you can work going forward is knowing that this will inherit all of the changes that you can make on the prefab. If I add a brand new component, let's just add something goofy like sound, an audio source. It's like a speaker. Cool. Check out what happens on the copy in the menu scene. Hey, there's an audio source on it now. Yeah. So I can make changes on the original and all of the copies, no matter how many different scenes it's in, no matter how many different instances there are in a level. They're all updated. And that saves a lot of time, and it reduces the amount of potential error. So I'll just clean up this audio source, remove it, and the copy also has it removed. Again, I can make changes to this instance, and this will stay here because in terms of the level configuration, that's part of what you want configured for this level, including the position of this character. It is not 0, 0, 0. It is -3, -0.25, blah, blah, blah. So with this in mind, let's go into level 1 now and use our prefab in place of this player character. This is the position, -2.5. I'll just remember this position, and I will drag in a copy. It did do the name change thing. Yeah, that's fine. I will change it. Because this is already here, I'll just undo, Control-Z a little bit. It's fine. I took it out. I'm going to delete this first, but I'll remember these numbers. Okay, bye-bye, player character. And now drag in a copy, and it doesn't have that name thing. It wants to tell you it's not the same as the original. That's fine. So it's blue, because it's a copy of a prefab. It tells you this is a prefab. In fact, that icon is also telling you this is a prefab instance. And I'll just set the position of it to be correct. And we're back where we were. Save. The beauty is if I needed to add things like frames so we could do happy or sad and keep our script working properly, if I needed to add something new to our player character's functionality, I can do it in one place. In fact, I could do it in a test scene. I could do it here now. This character move prototype doesn't even have the, oh it does. Doesn't have all the things that we have on this updated prefab. So imagine, we kind of do the same thing, remove this and replace it with, there's no reason to keep it around anymore. I'll go ahead and do that. Replace it with our new one. It does have new components on it, and it's got all the frames, so it can actually do lots of things. It's nice. But let's actually do level 1, make sure that's good. Let's do level 2, make sure that's good. Again, I'll delete this first and just drag this in. So just dragging it in and dropping is the easy way to just put the instance in there. No problem at all. Okay. This is also, by the way, I was thinking ahead, and this is also why our scripts configure themselves. Go find the move character script, go find the material here. It's because I anticipated I might not be able to rely on a configuration that was custom like this if we're going to make continual updates to these pieces like the player character. I kind of saw player character for real as something that would do that, but okay. So this is what prefabs can do for you. If I say, yeah, I want that audio, give me that audio thing, that was great. Well, great. Level 2 player character also has audio. Level 1 character also has, we don't need to do anything else. We just updated the character in our entire game with one move. Isn't that nice? The prefab is a way of working that saves you time, and the way you understand when to use a prefab is by, if you're placing torches in a dungeon, and you go, oh wait, I've been placing more than a couple of these. We're doing fine this afternoon. Thanks, Stepboom. I appreciate you coming by. Please remember to use Command Tie. Command Tie lets me know you're here. Otherwise, I really have no idea when you showed up. But I appreciate you showing up, and I want to say hi. That's why I do that. But we're doing good. There's this very, very simple game called Jump In. It looks like this, because now we can actually play this prototype. Little character blinking at you, and this menu is playable. We have been using Unity because it's fairly easy to learn on, and this is a stream that talks about anyone can do this, so this is really for all ages. Anyway, menu says, this is you. Okay, cool. And if you tentatively begin to use WASD, you begin to realize, oh, wait. And then if you do go here, you start the game. So instead of a start button, we're just using the mechanics that are in the game. This is the simplest game we can think of. Sure enough, this is how you play. And so the only new thing is the win square. This little goal is going to shrink, and you could lose, or you could win. So this is as far as we've gotten, but now we're kind of ready to start thinking about level 2, level 3, like what challenges the player to go further, that kind of stuff. Let's lose. Oh, I'll lose. We actually need to implement something right here. When we lose, we want to say, hey, do you want to replay the game? And if you say no, you come back here. You say yes, you replay the level. And we'll use the same mechanic. We'll use this character actually going into a space that says yes or no, I guess. So it acts like a cursor and a button because it's just the same mechanics. You should do that. We haven't talked about that, but we should do that. I hope you're doing well today. Thank you for stopping by. I really appreciate you. This is what we just did in Design Chat. That's super cool. But let's talk about the menu. This is done. And here we go. So before we go on to making levels, and I think that's appropriate, there's one more mechanic we need to do. If you win, we're going to go to the next level. That's good. That's basically done. We even have a way for the game manager to know which level is the next level. If they don't want to go to the next level, if they don't want to, let me back up. If they lose, right? If they win, they're going to go to the next level for real. If they lose, there's going to be a choice. And we need to say things like this. Hey, you didn't get there, you lose. And then we are going to fade out the you lose, or maybe just make it disappear or something. Maybe just replace it with the word replay with a question mark. I think that might actually work. And 2 spaces that say yes or no. Now, before we were talking about buttons. But I think we've got the good mechanic now to do this with the character. So maybe instead of you lose fading out, we just replace you lose with replay. Because I don't want to continue saying you lose anyway. Let's just say replay replaces that. That might actually be easy. But we need to add a couple of new squares. I mean, the win square is going to be gone if they lost. Yeah, actually. In terms of these storyboards, the win square here is actually gone. Oop. Here we go. Accurate. That's how the storyboard should look. You lose, and the characters by themselves. So now we have this replay and 2 spaces, and I think having it down below is okay. You know, they need to be separated for sure, so you can't like get in both at the same time, sure. But also, like, you're going to make a choice. Yeah, actually. I wonder if we can use the same win square script for these buttons. What would it take to make the win square script actually do the same thing it does, detect the players inside of it, but go to, thank you for lurking. I really appreciate you. That's awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you for using the commands, because I'm going to be distracted and it's hard to watch chat while I'm doing this, you know what I'm saying? Good job on your programming. You can tell me what programming language you use. I'd be interested in that because I am a nerd. So here we go. Simple logic. If you lose, we're going to do this. Because if you win, we don't need to do that. What we're going to do is change... I guess we need to do the same mechanic, actually. We say you lose, make it go away, and then we show a new piece of text. Does that sound familiar? Because you know what? There's a series of things that the game manager already does. When it talks about text, it says level 1, ready, set, go. And in between there's like a gap where the text is gone and a little timer. That's the same mechanic as this. We're going to say you lose, and then a gap where this text is gone with a little timer, and then we're going to say replay, so we change the text. Ooh. This sounds so similar to functionality we already have. Let's explore these 2 things. One is, could the win square be used as these buttons? Sending 1 to the menu. Sending the second one to replay this level, actually. That actually sounds very, very doable. And the other thing to look at is, can the game manager, instead of just saying you lose and sit there, do the same routine of you lose, blank it out, and then say replay. Let's explore what we have and what we would need to do to make that happen. If I'm in level 1, the win square is here, and it says I'm going to detect if the player is in here, and I know a reference to the game manager Kotlin? Actually, I don't know that language at all. That sounds very exotic. Is there another language it is similar to that I might know? Never heard that one, but I'll remember the name. This means the win square can talk to the game manager and say, hey, player won. Oh, it is C#? Oh, awesome. Cool. Yeah. I really enjoy C#. It's really fun. Cool. Then the game manager can get that signal, and away we go. Oh, in building native UI in Kotlin. Okay, cool. You are just doing C#. Awesome. Yeah, frameworks and things that help you build and stuff and code that people wrote before you. You know, that's always helpful. We always rely on that. And yeah, it's just a matter of learning what they gave you, right? It's cool. Awesome. And applications for mobile, you know, God love you. All right. In this case, we're tracing our logic to say win square gets the player the win condition, whether they win or lose, and tells the game manager, yo, player won or player lost. And so now the game manager can do their thing. Right now, we just do one thing. Just say you win and move on. Or you say you lose and sit there, which is not adequate, really. But you know, in the beginning of the level, we do this schedule. We do this routine. And we have a little bit of gap where there's no text in between these little messages, and we kind of want to do the same thing now. We want to do the same thing when you lose. In other words, here's the start text schedule. We kind of need some kind of lose text schedule. Heck, we might even have a win text schedule. I don't know. But the point is, this routine is exactly the same as what we want. Tell you what, at minimum, we would want that text. We want an array just like this. At the moment, we just have one piece of text to say you lose, but now we're saying we want more. So let's get an array in here just in case. I'll tell you what, we have even been talking about what happens in level 2 or even level 1 where there's something new. The win square shrinks. Get there before it disappears. Like, it's kind of too much to say in this schedule. That's a separate issue, actually. That's a separate issue. Let's do this one step, and then we'll improve this later. But let's get the lose to show up and then turn into replay with 2 pieces of text. No big deal. Let's make a new array variable. Here's our start text schedule. Let's just call it lose text for right now, because we can always change it later, but this is specifically what it's for. It's going to be the same thing. It's an array of string. So our game manager can say you lose and can say replay. And if we run it the same way, it should, say you lose and then replay. It might even be cool. Okay, if you're looking at this and saying, hold on, he's about to change the game manager in level 1, but what about the menu and level 2 and so on? Shouldn't he make a prefab? Congratulations, you won the day, because that's the lesson of the day. We really should make a prefab of this. I want the game manager to be the same in every level. 100%. Like, there's no reason not to. Let's briefly switch these out for prefabs in the menu and level 2. Same way, we're just going to drag it in, drop it after deleting it. And we'll test it out because, like I said, I did anticipate that we might need our scripts to configure themselves on start. But, we test. Right? So let's test to make sure this works. Oh, it says ready, set, go. Because this is looking for... Oh, right. This is a special configuration here because we are in the menu scene. See, this is why we test. But we made it easy to just click a button, and it is configured now as the menu. It didn't take over this text item right here. It didn't take this over and start saying, level 1, ready, set, go. It's because it's not level 1. Also, this should be configured to say we are going to go to level 1 next. That's another thing we need to configure. Cool. Yeah, that looks good. Let's move on to level 1. This is already configured for level 1. Let's go to level 2. This is going to say we're right now going to the menu next, because we don't have a level 3, but that's okay. Otherwise, this should still work. Let's test that theory. Oh, it says level 1, which is not correct. This is actually level 2. So as part of the start text schedule, level 2 thing has to say level 2. There might be smarter ways to do that. If we find one, we'll update it, and we'll update it in one place. Okay. We'll leave this here as it is configured here for now. That's fine. Okay. So we're back in level 1. We're looking at our game manager, and we realized, oh yeah, we need this text. If we're going to do the same routine as we do with our start text, but we're going to do it when you lose. We're going to show you lose. We're going to wait a little while. Then we're going to blank out the text. And then we're going to show replay. And we're going to wait a little while. And then we're going to blank it out. We're going to do that same routine. Let's look at the code and see what we need to do for that. First of all, we have it. That's good. We have the current text is something we might use, but it's specifically used for start right now. It's still just an index. That's fine. This display time and clear time, these are great. I don't need to touch that at all. There's a timer for it. This is great. If we are in a menu scene, we skip some things. Okay, good to know. We did this last time. We very specifically caused this to be skipped if this is a menu scene, or if this is in game, not pre-game. In other words, this is the stuff we do in the regular levels when we're in pre-game, and so we'll do this, but not unless those conditions are true. And it's good to think about that, because this is where we run the timer down and do this routine. So the condition of when to do this got a little more complicated. We want to use this, not when it's a menu scene, but even in post-game, we want to use this. Because in post-game, if the player lost, well, then yeah, we actually want to do this. We want to run the timer down. We want to do this. But we're not using the start text. This is different too. And this is different because it's not, going to limit it to 4. It would actually limit it to, 2. Because we have a 0 and 1. We do not have a 2. So, okay. And we wouldn't go to game. We would, like... Actually, we wouldn't clear it, would we? No, we wouldn't. This is a little different. In our normal start text, we always clear it. In this replay situation, if you lose and it says replay, we don't want to clear it. We actually want to clear you lose and then not clear replay. So some of this functionality has to be interrupted. Some of this condition needs to allow for if we are in post game. Okay, I'm going to keep using these ands because they're very helpful. So if we are in a menu scene, this will be skipped. It'll just go to here and say, oh, we're in a menu scene, so stop. And it'll just skip all this. But if we're not in a menu scene, it continues. And now it says, are we in pregame? And if so, we do want to do this. Actually, do I want an and? No, I don't. This is a complex condition. When do I want to use this? Well, definitely in pregame for normal levels. That's what this says. That's what this condition is all about. In pregame for normal levels, do the start text. Well, yeah, but we also want this timer to run down. And even though we're not using start text, we want to use something else. Let's just write it out and then I'll comment it. I know I want this code here. I just don't want to implement it yet because I'm still working on it. So I'll do this. And comment it out. We're going to use this instead of that. On some condition. We'll get there. And this isn't going to be 4, it's going to be 2. I will just do this. And make this 2 to remind us that's what we need to do because of this. So there's going to be a condition. And it's basically, is the state post-game, I think. We also need to have lost the game. The player 1 has to be false. Because if they win, we're not doing any of this. We're just saying you win, and we go to the next level. If we're saying you lose, which we actually do right here. This is already printing you lose. But we need to clear it. We need to start the timer right here. Yeah, text display time. Actually, this timer's already running. Or it's set to run, but then we don't do anything because we're in post-game. Okay, so, I mean, this wasn't working before, but we're going to use it now. If we win, you say we'll win, and we'll clear it. If you lose, we're going to say you lose, we're going to clear it, and we're going to replace it with something else. But the condition that we need to look at is this, because the win square told us whether the player won or not, and we're saving this. Good, because we need to use it. We now know if the player won, and we now know we're in post-game because this has been set. Hey, I think we have all the pieces. This condition is more complicated because to do any of the timer stuff, we're going to need to make a condition that accounts for this, as is, or actually, this for sure. Okay. But now this condition needs to be expanded. And it kind of needs to be expanded separately from this. In other words, I want to evaluate this separately. The way to do that, as in math, is to put parentheses around it and indicate that this should be evaluated first. Now that's not technically true. It is going to do this and then say and so if this is a menu scene, we're just going to skip it altogether because this must be true in order for this condition to be true. However, by putting this in parentheses, I'm now able to adjust and expand this part of the condition to the right of this and. I'm going to be able to do more complicated things because I've put it in parentheses. Now I'm also going to just put it on a new line to further separate visually from this menu scene, but it's all still one line. I'm just making it a little easier to read, or trying to. We do eat butts. You're in a jungle. Yeah. This means that it's still the same if we are not in a menu scene and the state is pregame, this still runs. But I'm going to say or state is actually post-game, right? Because we lost and I still want this thing to run. But how do I know that we lost, right? Because what if we won, right? Actually, that might not matter. It might be safe to just do this anyway. This logically says if we're not in a menu scene and the state is either pre-game or post-game. I guess another way to say this, gosh, this could be much simpler. Sorry for finding my way here, but I'm kind of thinking we could let this run anyway, because I'm going to use some special conditions for this and for that. I'm thinking I could just say if state equals or does not equal game, right? Do these things if state does not equal game, because that's the only other state, pre-game, post-game, and game. But I'll keep this here for now. What I'm thinking is either I need to explicitly say it's post-game and the player did not win, or I could leave it here. I don't know. Let's test. If I need to come back here and adjust this condition, I will. I'll make it more complicated, but the goal is going to be the same. This must be true, and this must be true in order for the whole condition to be true. That's true, but this can be evaluated separately now where either this or this can be true, and this part of the condition is true, meaning it'll satisfy this and compound condition. Hope that makes sense. Let's move on. I think even if we won, this is still going to be okay. So whether we win or lose post-game, we do want to do this. The difference is, though, we don't want to use start text schedule because we're not in start text. Like, this is only if the state is pregame. If state is pregame. I can go ahead and put curly brackets around it like this. You might notice that it begins to kind of clutter it up, and I know for a fact this is the only line I'm using on this right now. Just to remind you, it's okay to omit those curly brackets if it's just one line. In effect, it is this. It is actually one line of code. We just put it on a separate line to make it a little more readable. But this will only say grab the text from start text schedule if we're in pregame. I'm going to say we're in postgame. See, Visual Studio knows what's up. Because if we're in postgame, we're going to look at the lose text schedule. Here is where I absolutely want to make sure we only do this if player 1, if player 1 equals false. In other words, not player 1. Player did not win. So, yeah, we're in postgame, but only if we also lost. Do we want to do the lose text? Seems reasonable. We'll have to test it. Let's go one step further, because this will clear the text, move on to the next one. Yeah, we probably want to interrupt this immediately. If it is already blank, we show text. If it's not blank, then we increment the text and incrementing for the next text that we show. But we can also detect if we have gone too far, and I was saying 2 because we don't have a index 3. But I'm also going to say, so here what we do is what we should do when we start the game. Set the game state to game and make the character able to move. That's for the start, right? For the end game, for post game, we need to do different things. Whoops. I guess we could just be explicit and say if state equals pregame, right? And current text is right, because that's safe. This will act the same as it has been, and that's fine. We don't ever want to go into game unless we are in pregame, so that makes sense. Same thing, if state equals postgame, right? And current text is is 2. Now, I think we're doing something entirely different here because we're in postgame. We have a different set of text and we don't want to clear it at all. In fact, we don't want to do any of this. We only want to do this, make it blank, and wait. We actually only want to do that we only want to do this here. That's true, actually. Hold on. No, it's not. Oh. Hold on. Wait a minute. Whether we get to current text, and whether this index goes to 4 or not, we do want to clear it out and wait. Let's put it here. This is going to interrupt that, though. If in post game, and player lost. Wow, this needs to be there, right? Stop text at the phrase replay, because that's what we want. Which means instead of clearing it out, right? We only want to do all this stuff. It's this one line that we don't want to do? Not really. I'm thinking about the order. First of all, this happens first, right? And then this happens. And if we've already blanked out the text, that's kind of wrong. But I'm also thinking about, hey, this timer is going to be really helpful in the case where we have replay, yes or no, and we don't want to sit there forever. We should put a timer on it. It's going to be a long, generous timer, but you should have a timer before we switch to the menu. If you don't hit, yes, I want to replay the level, you're going to go back to the main menu after a time. We can use this timer to do it. In fact, we could probably Yeah, we could do that. If that's true, though, we're almost there. What we need is we're showing the text when it's blank, and when it's not blank, we are moving ahead one, detecting if we should actually just start the game, blanking the text, and resetting this text timer. But this won't matter if we're in game. So this is actually going to make it so the timer isn't running. In this case, if we blanked the text and set the timer, we're still going to run the timer, aren't we? We are. And so it's going to look for this next lose text, and that won't be there if this is, you know. I think if we know that we are moving ahead and the next one is not there and we're in post game, we should not blank the text. Okay, in other words, we need to do this ahead of this stuff. We shouldn't blank the text. We should change the timer to be a very long time and do something totally different with our timer that we haven't even talked about yet. I think we need to. So, I think another way to say that is put this here, but hold on blank text is something we do if we're in pregame. Period. So I'll move all this inside the scope of this condition that only does this if we're in pregame. That is not correct. Darn, that is not correct. Yeah, these conditions got crazy. Because we kind of want to use the same mechanism, but then we want it to act differently. So it's not the same mechanism. Yeah. I don't want to redo a timer just for this, but I do think our conditions are getting complicated. This works for pregame, and this will continue to work for pregame. For postgame, I got an idea. Let's say, okay, we're in pregame. We're going to do one set of things, including if the current text is 4, someday we'll talk about branchless programming. And here's the funny bit. Now I can just throw this right here. Because this will be the same. If we're in pregame, this will be the same. If we're in pregame, we're going to do all this. This is what we had before. This is exactly what we had before. It's just that now we don't even look at here if we're not in pregame. This is postgame. Let me get rid of this. This is postgame. And I kind of want something similar, to be honest. But first of all, this is 2. And we're not setting it to game, and we're not unfreezing the player. We are going to so in other words, if this is true, we just don't do this. So another way to say that is if current text is less than 2, then we do this. Okay, that's proper so far, and we're almost done because else, right? if it is 2, because we're just incrementing current frame. Then this timer, I mean, we're not going to change the text at all. We're not blanking it. We're not changing it all. Let's go ahead and make it the long time, like make it 4 seconds. This is odd and brand new, and we haven't done anything like this, but now we're using the timer in a different way. As long as we're in post-game, as long as we lost, in fact, I should probably check for that. 1 equals false, right? Yeah. Blah, blah. Increment the text. Set text. We set text only if we're in pregame or postgame and player lost. Otherwise, we never actually set the text to anything. Is this safe? Kinda. We set it to blank. That's not going to hurt anything. That's not going to hurt anything. Okay. We're going to have to test because it has now gotten pretty complicated and we haven't tested in a while. But what we did was we said, cool, it was, if we're not in a menu and we're in pregame, then do these things. And we had to expand this to say, well, now we want to use this same mechanism if we lost and we're in post-game. So let's keep it going. We could be in pregame or post-game. Fine. We changed that condition. And so now the timer is also running in post-game. But we had to add this condition so it grabbed text from the start text schedule when we're in pregame. And we had to change and add this condition to get text from the lose text schedule if we're in post-game and we lost. Otherwise, we don't grab text at all. Okay. So if we have if we're in pregame, this runs as normal. If we lost the game, then we are in postgame. Current text is being incremented no matter what. And so that doesn't matter because we don't do anything with current text if we won. If we lost, we actually grab it from the right place. So this is proper. And if we get to a point where we're going to begin to clear the text that says replay, we actually don't. We detect that we only clear the text and hold on blank text. It's a little spacer. Unless we're in that spot that says replay. Because if that's true, then we do something brand new and different. We set a timer for a very long time. And I don't think... Oh my goodness. I just scrolled down. Are you kidding me? I just scrolled down and saw that there's a whole section to the update function that only deals with postgame. And this is where we should have been coding all along? Yes. We've already separated this out to make it simple, and I made it so much more complicated than it needed to be. My apologies. My goodness. We went through very compound conditions using these operators for no reason. My apologies. We added all this stuff for no reason. My apology. And so I'm going to now undo this. I can undo it manually. That's okay. It's okay. It's okay. This is still good. Actually, this still works fine. It's totally unnecessary, though. I will take this out. That was what it was before anyway, so it's fine. But we're only going to be here in pregame because I'm about to take this out. Totally going to take that. I'll cut that one because I'll use it later. We don't need this. We're going to go out of that. Okay, so that's undoing all of that, and I'm going to repair this and make it what it was, which is this. Just this. Okay. My apologies. I should have just scrolled down and reviewed my code before I changed it. Goodness! Now I'm going to be way over. Okay, let's see if we can do this quickly. First, let's test. I need to make sure this still works. I'm in level 1. It says level 1, ready, set, go. Everything looks okay. I can move. I get here. It says you win and clears away before we go to level 2. That's still fine. Okay. Now, here is post-game, and we actually redo the timer functionality. Now I'm looking at it. This is way smaller than the changes I was making. My goodness. So if we're in a menu scene, we're not displaying pre-game text. This is post-game text. Okay. If we're in a menu scene, or the text is blank, that's odd. I'm confused by that for just a moment, but okay. If the player won, then we do this, and that's fine. But if we... here's what we wanted. My goodness. I don't need to say post-game. In fact, I don't need to say this at all, because we're already in a condition that is only accessible if we lost. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. If it's blank, we show some text. If it's not blank, we need to increment the current text. This is the same as what's up above. And if that current text is 2, we've gone too far. Okay. If it's less than 2, then we actually want to do the normal thing. That's true. Now, if it is 2, then we want to set our timer to something special that we didn't have before. Okay. I think that's the same. We increment the current text, but unless we have lost, we don't access this, so we're safe. In fact, as soon as the timer's up, we're going to switch scenes, so it doesn't matter. Should we test this theory? My goodness, what a mess. Because I just did a bunch of code that did not matter, and then I redid the code in a much simpler way, and my goodness, I'm sorry. That is my bad. I went way over for no reason. Okay, I'm going to lose on purpose. Oh, I'm losing. Oh, no, I'm losing. You lose. And it's just sitting there. Oh, go on. Is that because we're in post-game? Is that why? Let's just cheat and make it say pre-game? No. We want this to work. Well, I've gone over, and I'm not going to be able to get out of this until we finish this, so let's just plow forward. This current text will be new. Okay, that was... Actually, that's odd. If not in a menu scene and in pre... Oh, that's because I manually set it to pregame. Right, okay. I was cheating, and so that error doesn't count. But we're in post-game, and I know this blanks out. If we're in a menu scene or... Why do we say this? Post-game, because you actually start the game in a menu, and so if we're in a menu, then load next level. Okay, that's why. Okay, that's why we do. But if we lost, then we do this. If it is blank, now if it's not blank, or it's not a menu scene, oh, well then current text is, right, we need to actually set current text. I never do that. Right. Hey, you lose, right? If we lost, I need to if player 1 equals false, then I need to set current text to 0 all over again because of the way we put these this text here. This is now element 0, same as if we started the game, but we already played the game and now we lost. I need it to go here. So current text needs to be 0. Let's save that. Let's test that. Let's work on this until it works. I need to lose properly. Ready, set, go. And they're off. And where do I go? Do I go over here? Nope, no, I go this way. Oh, I need to run. Get there quick. Run. Lost. Replay. Oh, and it sits there for a very long time. Now, I'm not able to move, and I should, actually. I should be able to move. That is a good point, but that worked. Good. Timer set to something very cool and special and different, but also move character enabled is going to be true again. Unfreeze player. Okay, so this is a special case, and I'm going to put a note here that says, now wait to see if player wants to replay level. That's what this is. And we aren't doing anything with the result of this timer. Let's see. Post-game timer is running down. Okay. The text is... No, text is not clear. It'll just come right back here. The timer has run all the way down. Text is not blank. And so we increment current text. So it's 2. But it could be 3 now. And that's when we should switch scenes. Bro. Okay, wait. If current text equals 2, okay, then we absolutely want to do these things. This is unfreeze the player once and set the timer for something very long. Else, in other words, if the current text is now 3, right? Let's load the menu. Now, I'm going to just call it out right now. Menu, this menu scene is called menu, and I can just do this. I'll hard code in this name, which is not great. And I will also not do the little curly brackets here because it's literally one line. As long as we're not current text 2, we have the timer has run out again, and now we're going back to the main menu. Oh, you might be done. I swear. I know I went way over. I went way over. It's okay, though. Progress. I'm trying. Oh, I'm trying so hard. Look at me try. Oh, I lose. Replay? Well, let me think about it. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go over there. Oh, okay. That was 4 seconds. We went back to the main menu. Now, maybe 4 seconds is not enough time. It was enough time for us to test. That's true. I think we also want to... Do we want to keep the player looking sad? Let's review that later. Keep player looking sad? Question mark. Because he wasn't changing to the movement frames. He was just staying sad, and that's because the game manager has told the animate character thing to stop moving around. Sit there, be sad. Right now that might be okay, but we might want to change that. We'll review it later. Hey, what did we do? We went over, that's for sure. Actually, we can clean this up. These log lines have been there, but, we're fine. Yes, we modified the game manager script to handle what happens when the player loses. There is words that we want to say that mirror a pop-up menu to give the player the option to replay the level they just lost. So if we also talked about prefabs. Oh, we did do a lot today. That's why we went over. My goodness. Let me start at the menu. This is what our game looks like now. Jump in. Blink. I can move around. Blink. Okay, cool. I'm running over here. Blink. Oh no. Oh no, I broke our menu. Oh no. Oh no. I now have a bug. Darn it. Well, now I literally just... I'm going to put those back in. Didn't we just win this? Shouldn't we go to the next level? Oh, if current text is less than 2. Actually, I need to say... No, that's true. No, that's right. I have a bug. It must be where we changed things last. That's why I'm focusing on that. I want this feedback to make sure it knows that we won. So I'm going to try that again. We won at the menu, though, right? I mean, this was working a minute ago. It was. It's not telling me I won. Is it possible that our prefab stuff has somehow broken our functionality with our player character and such? I don't know. Oh, Win Square. Don't you know? I mean, this is the same Win Square. This was not replaced by a prefab. It's talking to the game manager. Game manager, did you get the signal that we won? If game manager got this signal, I don't know if we would ever know. Unless I make it explicit. Game manager got the signal. Okay. Let's try it again. Literally, things were working, but somewhere along the way, we broke this. And this does not actually get the signal. That's odd. That means that the Win Square does not think that this player character... Sorry, the Win Square does not think that this player character is inside. Why don't you think that? Okay. By putting this line in here, we were confirming whether or not this thing happened. Actually, I'll leave it there for a second because I'm just going to go straight to the win square. Is player in win squares something we do all the time? As long as the scale is big. As long as we're in game. Are we, I don't know, not in game for some reason? Oh, I did something weird with our game manager. Yeah, pre-game. Oh, that's fine. And then, oh, not actually in game? Oh. Normally, our game manager, like in level 1, needs to be in pregame to start, and then it automatically goes to game after this sequence. Right here, game. Because it says ready, set, go, game. Normally that happens in every level except the menu. And specifically, because it's a menu scene, I should not be in pregame ever. I should be just set it straight to game. I think this is the problem. Game. So we weren't winning because we weren't in the game. Yeah, that's true. Cool. Okay, let's clean this up. It did get the signal because the game was actually running. I can fix this. I can fix this. I'll just comment these out. It's fine. But let's fix that problem because I would like my tools to always be configured properly by knowing what they need to do. In this case, game manager. If the game manager knows that we are in the menu, is a menu scene, okay, then menu scene false, blah, 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 blah. Else, you know what, make sure that state, you know what, let's just put a parenthesis, curly brackets on it, state equals game, because I need you to be there for sure. For sure. Now, I did manually set this to game, but let's test it by setting it to pregame and having it configured improperly. And so because this is true, is menu scene, this automatically set it to game, which means I can win, which means everything's fine again. Okay. What was I saying 2 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago, whatever? Here we go. This is what our game looks like. Jump in. This is you, blink, blink, blink. Okay. I can move. Yes. Oh, I can go over here. Yes. I can go over here and do this. Yes. All right. Level 1. Ready. Set. Go. And now I can move. And I should be saying, and be careful. The win square now shrinks, or whatever it is. You win. Yay, we won. And we went to the menu. That's incorrect. Darn it. How much longer is this stream going to go? Okay, I need to resolve this because we can't leave it like this. If we were on the job and we turned in code that introduced brand new bugs, we can't leave for the day. We need to finish this. This is going to be a longer stream than normal. It already is, but give me a break. We have to do this. If we won, we're going back to the menu. That's incorrect. If we lose, in other words, I'm still testing. If we lose, blah, 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 blah. Now, this is the stuff we were working on, so this is probably fine. If we lose, it says, lose, replay, and it waits 10 seconds now. Our poor little guy is here sad, but he can move around. And we'll go to either yes or no. Okay. And if we said no, we come back here. And that's proper. What I'm saying is the improper part happened in level 1. Yeah, in level 1, where the game manager should be going to the next level, but I think it thought it should be running the timer down and going to the menu. I mean, that's the only time when we say go to the menu, so yeah, that's probably what happened. Post game, running the timer down. Here is, yeah, you are in a menu scene, or the text is blank. Yeah, this. So we shouldn't do this unless we've lost, right? This whole thing only happens if we're sad and lost, right? So it's not else. It's else if, because this, we're going to put a little condition on this, and if this condition is false, then we're going to skip it. That condition is player 1 equals false. This means we had everything going on correctly for loss, but for win, it was also doing this. And no, we don't want you to go to the menu. No. Right? And current text was not 2. It was something far more than 2, because we only reset this if the player lost. Yeah, this makes sense now. I swear. If we test and it gets us to the functionality we had originally plus the improvements without any bugs, then we're done. So here's our menu. We can move. We come here. It looks happy because we can begin the game. It says level 1. And I can try and win. Oh, hello. Thank you so much for lurking. I really appreciate you. I'm going to try and win. Okay, we won. And it's sitting here for 10 seconds. That's incorrect. How are you? Thank you for lurking. I really appreciate you. It's waiting 10 seconds, and it's waiting 10 more seconds. And oof, why isn't it getting to that spot that says go to the next level? If we lose, I'm pretty sure that's still good. I'm going to be a little neurotic about that because we broke something in the process of implementing something new. I don't want to fix and introduce new bugs. Oops, I meant to lose. Sorry. Get to the test. We have to do this and lose. Okay, now lose. What we're looking for is to say just replay and then go back to the main menu and yeah. Okay. Some seconds later, menu. Yay. Totally works. Excellent. But win does not. Works fine there. And I think it's because it was the menu scene. So here it does not. And we are in this land. We want it to say, well, we were in a menu scene. That's why it was doing this, okay? But also it should do this if the text is blank. So really all we need to do is make sure the text goes blank. Oh, current text is not less than 2. Okay. This actually needs to happen. If we get a game result, win or lose, we definitely need to reset the current text to 0. That will allow this to run, and if we're not in a menu scene and it's not blank text, we do go here, increment, and the current text is less than 2, meaning we blank the text so that the next time we come back, the timer is up and it is blank text. So now we can go to the next level. Okay. This is our current game called Jump In. Blink, blink, blink. Our character is cute, and he moves, and we go over here, and yay, we can begin. Level 1. Ready, set, go. And now we can move. We're running all around, and we just totally bomb. We totally lose. Oh. We can do it, though. Replay? Yes, I'm going to come over here and say replay. Yes, replay, please. Or actually, no. Go back to the main menu. Go back to the main. There we go. Back. So there's a timer that will force the issue. If you do nothing, it will come back here. But we're going to try and win now, because lose works. We've repaired win, I think. Let's try. Win. Yay, level 2. All right. And this means win and lose now do their thing. What we've added, oh my goodness, what did we add? We added this change where it says you lose but then goes to say replay, setting us up to do this yes or no button thing so that our character can indicate whether they want to replay or not. Our player can use the character to do that in the same way that they use the character to jump into the win square to start, because that is our fancy new menu. We're going to do this over and over again. To use the character as the cursor is a fun idea, and we'll just... I'm sorry I went over. I'm sorry I went over. I feel so bad. I went way over, and we did so much code, and then I did code in the wrong place, and then, bugs, and then, actually, there is a teaching moment showing how to zero in on the bug and where the bug was. We started by testing as we go. So when the bug happened, we knew that the problem must be where we changed last. But planning ahead and thinking ahead should have been going on in my brain. That would have prevented me from coding in the wrong place for like 20 minutes or 30 minutes. Sorry about that. But we did talk about prefabs and some good technical things. We've made a lot of progress and set us up well for the next time. So if you're interested in watching an ape fumble around in the jungle, making games as well as play games, then show up and use Command Tie, and when you get here, I'll say you're here. Until then, have fun, do well, be good, stay safe. See ya.